Peace, love, and prosperity to all of humanity on planet Earth. This is Abdul Smith Bey of AMPAG. Continuing the reading for the Wazir Regional Convention. I believe we're in chapter 13. Let me share the screen, which is the Trusteeship Council. Where is it? There we are. Chapter 12, actually, not 13, chapter 12. Which is an interesting chapter and set of articles. Cover why it's so interesting when we get into the read. We'll start with the preamble. Okay, so let's begin with the preamble as we finish up the Wazir Regional Convention. Remembering that this was highlighted as the constitutional process when you put together law, when you accede to specific conventions and things of that nature, you will undergo a constitutional process, a procedure to enact said law and make it part of your internal law legislation. Okay, so here's a preamble. We, the competent Moors of the Empire of Morocco, do hereby establish a multilateral convention by the member states parties to the convention and have combined our efforts to reign in the order of unity and accountability throughout the Moorish Empire, the Moroccan Empire, right? The Sharifian Empire. These are the terms as to how it's known on an international level. Until I started reading these treaties, I never knew that we were known as the Sharifians. You know, I heard the term Muslim, Mohammedan nation, but I didn't know that the empire was also called the Sharifian Empire. We know Moroccan, we know Moorish, but we've never heard the Sharifian Empire, or it being referred to as the Sharifian Empire. Bearing in mind that the Wazir Regional Council and its recognized member states shall be guided by the norms of treaties and international law. So so when any state that's looking to come online and become part of the WRC, this what needs to be understood, overstood, is that we're guided by the norms of treaties and international law. That's it. Right? So any rules or policies set forth by the WRC will always be in harmony with treaties and international law, right? The customary norms of international law. And respecting the preemptory norms of international law, which is just cogents, which is human rights, right? State rights, which at the end of the day boils down to peace and security within the empire. It's our obligation to maintain peace and security. To maintain peace and security, we have to adhere to just cogents, right? With a view to preserving the purpose and principles concerning the sovereign equality of modern Moroccan states and the maintenance of international peace and security. You see, believing that regional council reforms on friendly diplomatic intercourse, privileges, and immunities shall contribute to the development of consular relations between all Moorish states and between foreign dependent states of the United States of America in Morocco. What is a foreign dependent state? Lowercase state at that. Georgia, Texas, Oregon, Indiana, Michigan, Florida, North Carolina, NY, NJ, New Jersey. These are all foreign dependent states of the United States of America in Morocco. It's very specific. They can claim plausible deniability, irrespective of their differing constitutional and social systems. So that's irrelevant. Your different constitutional and social system is irrelevant to Moroccan law, period. You fall under our jurisdiction and authority. Under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, of course, realizing that the purpose of such diplomatic intercourse, privileges, and immunities is not to benefit individuals, but to ensure the efficient performance of the functions of diplomatic relations and consular relations by respecting the principles of Moroccan law as binding on native Moroccans and privileged Americans. Probably should put on there inter alia, because then he ain't all everybody else within Morocco. So it's not limited to. Well, I mean, I'm subject to Moroccan law. I have to respect Moroccan law. You know, and Moroccan law is going to have to be strict. Sorry to tell people, the grass is not necessarily green on this side of the spectrum, and we have so much more work to do because we got a nation of peoples whose mind needs to be reprogrammed, reformed, educational reforms. So one of the ways in which blackamoors, right, learn pretty quickly is through fines, penalties, and confiscations. They don't like the sound of none of that. That's why they don't want to deal with the United States laws, right? Well, you still got to deal with some type of law. Moroccan law is going to have penalties, fines, penalties, and confiscations as well. And so if you want to stay out of dealing with that, then you must uphold the law, respect the law, adhere to the law. One of the laws may potentially be all men must wear their pants at their waistline. So if you anything else, anything showing your underwear too far below your behind under legislation can be considered public nudity, right? Something like that. And such fines, penalties, and confiscations come with such violations. I bet you these brothers that had their pants up. I bet you these brothers that had their pants up. When you start seeing Moors locking up Moors, Moors will start acting right. This is what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was saying, that Moors are hard-headed, stiff-necked people who don't do anything but to the point of a sword. What's the point of the sword? Legislation, the pen, laws, stringent laws, hard laws, strict laws. So we have to use Moroccan law to get our people back in order. But it's not limited to Moroccan law. The number one way to get our people back in order is an educational reform. We have to re-educate the people. Seeing a ICJ victory is a mental reset in it of itself. I would expect that to be a thing to happen, whereas the people will recognize immediately upon a ICJ win, oh man, this is actually what it is. Yes, this is actually what it is. You're Moroccans. You're not Americans. You're not Negroes, blacks, colors, any of the. This is Morocco, not America. You're Moroccan, not American. And this is what your custom looked like. This is what your culture used to look like. This is how you're supposed. This is what your ancestors looked like. This is what your ancestors did. This is what your ancestors built. Quick story. I told Jay Bay this story. It was a heartbreaking story, but it's not, it's not heartbreaking actually per se, but it was a tough situation for me to deal with. I'm at the gas station getting gas, and one of these DHL vans pulled up. It was an international, it said something international delivery, something. Well, on the side of it, there was a picture of the Taj Mahal. And I'm looking at the Taj, and I'm looking at it was a large, striking picture. Not a drawing, an actual picture of it. And in it, you can clearly see that it's the Habu property. You can see the Moorish architecture in it. You can tell that, once you kind of know, it's like, when you know. And when you don't know, you just don't damn know. But now, us that are in the know as to our heritage and culture and the artifacts that we built all over planet Earth, we recognize our buildings when we see them now, right? So it was easy for me to see. I was like, man, look at that building. And I'm just marveling at the architectural design. I'm looking at it. And then, so now I turn to go into the store and I'm seeing a young brother with his pants way below his waistline. He, wife beater, just, tattoos all over his face and just look, you know, the brother appeared lost. Honestly, he really did, and it broke my heart because I'm like, okay, this is the point in which it came in. I came to the point where I felt heartbroken because I just finished looking at a building that he or his ancestors built, but he himself don't know. I mean, he has absolutely no clue. He is so far removed from that consciousness that he or those who look like him actually built that. When he looks at it, he doesn't see himself in the architecture. He sees somebody else. We've been taught to believe that somebody else built these buildings and all these 7 wonders of the world, which it's actually more than 7. Aliens did not put together Stonehenge, it was us. But the brother has no idea of that. None whatsoever. I mean, he is far removed. If I were to bring him to the van and ask him, who you think built that? His answer would more than likely be, I don't know. He probably doesn't know that it's even called Taj Mahal currently, right? And I'm saying that because this is where we need to reprogram the minds of our people. They need to know the truth about this is why they behave the way they do. You know, this is why we have no sense of direction. We have nothing to hold on to. We don't have a heritage. As Black, what heritage is that? What does that tie you to other than slavery, which is a narrative and not necessarily the truth? You know how many people are so excited and happy about Juneteenth? So it was heartbreaking to experience that, just look at this building, see and know that we built it, and look how far we have fallen to where the youth has absolutely no. We are not protecting our youth is in shambles. We don't care about our youth. When I say we, I'm talking about the collective of us, all of us, whether we're Moroccans or Black, it's all the same. But the correct identity is Moroccan, obviously, right? But our truth is not, our youth are not being protected. They're going to jail. They're killing each other. Well, where are the OGs? They're supposed to come in and mediate what's going on in the streets with these kids, hold them accountable, man. 19-year-olds, stone cold killers. We are our people, we're extremists. I'm gonna say this last thing and then let me get back to the reading. Our people we're extremists. We're an absolute extremist. Either we're gonna go all the way in on our destruction, or we're gonna go all the way in on our salvation and liberation. There is no in between with us as a people. We go hard in either direction. So right now, the pendulum is in the wrong direction. However, due to the clock of destiny ticking away, it's swinging back into the proper direction. When the youth get a hold of this knowledge, it becomes a thing for them. This is when you will see a dramatic change, because now we will be going hard in the paint in the direction of liberation. Because now we have something to hold on to. Now we have something to have pride about. Currently, we don't have nothing to hold on to. We have nothing to have pride about. So our direction is destruction. And we're going hard with that one. The opposite of that, when the pendulum swings, is our liberation. The youth is going to take this thing to the next level, and be careful. Watch out. We will never lose the empire ever again. Islam. All right. Acknowledging that the Constitution for the United States of Morocco has yet to be concluded and enacted for the purpose of establishing a central government to represent the Moroccan Empire. Therefore, the WRC Council and the WRC Office of the Secretariat shall assist the member states until the Constitution of the United States of Morocco is convened into session. So as you see, we're speaking for the future. right? The WRC is a placeholder for the United States of Morocco. It's coming. It's being projected. That's an implied task. Affirming that the council shall act in the best interest of human rights. You see, that's the bottom line. Bottom line. There is no policy or reforms that's going to come out of the WRC that goes against human rights. Where we will always uphold the preemptory norms of international law, period. Affirming that the council shall act in the best interest of human rights and adopt resolutions that promote the member states to accept or accede to the council resolutions regarding administrative, legislative draft articles, judicial, economic, social, cultural, and military reforms, while the member states are at varying stages of advancement. So the WRC will be assisting the states with legislative draft articles, right, etc. Different forms of reforms and policies and legislation that can be that will be utilized for within your state or utilized within your state, right? So you would accede to it through the constitutional process procedures to then turn around and make it your internal law, keeping you from having to write any form of legislation. Really, all you're doing is pulling it down from the WRC, making it your law, and then redepositing it, sending it back to the WRC. You all will learn this process as you go along, specifically speaking of Serum and Apani, right? Ante New York and Ante North Carolina. Emphasizing that the combined efforts of states to any dispute can be expressed through a joint declaration of intervention as erga omnes parties to help unite our efforts for the common defense of our interdependent states, right? So we're projecting that as well. What is that I'm talking about? Well, whenever we take when the time comes in which when we will be taking the United States to the International Court of Justice, we're coming as erga omnes parties through the WRC, right? Under the Declaration of Intervention. Erga omnes parties, it's the equivalent of a class action lawsuit, but for states. So several states coming together to sue one state. The same way Ukraine and Europe or should I say Ukraine and the European states are doing with Russia. They're all coming together under erga omnes parties, under a Declaration of Intervention, right, to deal with Russia at the ICJ. Well, we'll be doing the same thing to deal with the United States at the ICJ. Part of the reason why we established the WRC. Convinced that the heads of states shall embody the sacred trust of duty, honor, and accountability to protect the United States of Morocco alliance and its borders, people, and property, and foster friendly relations between Moroccans and Americans. Reaffirming that treaties, international law, preemptory norms, just cogents, and the principles of uti possidetis juris inter alia shall continue to govern questions not expressly regulated by the provisions of the present multilateral convention. Solemnly, the respective wazir-reis of their recognized Moorish governments have assembled in the state of Alodia Moorish Paradia, Monte, Colorado, have exhibited their full powers and found to be in good and due form, and have agreed to the present multilateral convention in the Empire of Morocco, and do hereby establish a United States of Morocco alliance to be known as the Wazir Regional Council. And that's the end of the preamble. This is serious business that the United States is currently shocked by. See, we're not using the C-24, the Trusteeship Council of the United Nations, to force decolonization. We're doing it ourselves on our own. In doing so, we get to control the narrative of decolonization. If we go through the C-24, the Trusteeship Council, right, which is administered by the United States, partially or to a degree, all the several states of the United Nations, then they control the narrative of what decolonization looked like. And what we potentially could be facing with that narrative is what's called neo-colonialism, a new form of colonialism, right? Where they give you certain rights, but they maintain most of the authority. Like, no, we ain't doing that. We are taking the full control of decolonization. We will control the full narrative. We don't need you. We don't need you, sir. We got this. All right, let's go to chapter 12. Do I have a reader for chapter 12, please? Regional trusteeship system. Anyone?
Chapter 12, Regional Trusteeship System. The Wazir Regional, Article 75. The Wazir Regional Council shall establish under its authority a regional trusteeship system for the administration and supervision of such territories as may be placed thereunder by subsequent individual agreements. These territories are hereinafter referred to as trust territories. Article 66.
Let me hold that right there. So the Wazir Regional Council shall establish under its authority a regional trusteeship system. See, the United Nations has, this language comes directly from the United Nations Charter. So they had a trusteeship council that helped with decolonizing non-self-governing territory. Well, we established our own form of it to decolonize or assist Moors in those areas to decolonize in those non-self-governing territories. That's what the WRC is all about. That's what the WRC has done with Serum and Apani and other states, including our own states, right? For the administration is a regional trusteeship system for the administration and supervision of such territories as may be placed thereunder by subsequent individual agreements, right? So it would be under our authority, we would administer and supervise those territories, the non-self-governing territory, on behalf of the Moroccan Empire, on behalf of the Moors in those territories, right? Which with that comes erudition, training, teaching, right, on how to decolonize, specifically how to establish their constitution and their Declaration of Independence to then decolonize. Because you're not decolonizing without those properly written instruments being first written. That's the first step, right? The Constitution is paramount. Okay, continue, sister. Article 76.
Article 76. The basic objectives of the trusteeship system in accordance with the purposes of the present convention and as a natural corollary with the Charter of the United Nations laid down in Article 1 of the Convention and the UN Charter shall be: 1. To further regional and international peace and security. 2. To promote the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the ipso jure Moorish subjects, proteges, native Moors, or inhabitants of the trust territories, and their progressive development towards self-government or independence as may be appropriate to the particular circumstances of each territory and its peoples, and the freely expressed wishes of the Moors concerned, and as may be provided by the terms of each trusteeship agreement.
All right there. Did y'all hear that? 2, to promote the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the ipso jure Moorish subjects, proteges, native Moors, or inhabitants of the trust territories, and their progressive development towards self-government or independence as may be appropriate to the particular circumstances of each territory and its peoples, excuse me, and the freely expressed wishes of the Moors concerned, and as may be provided by the terms of each trusteeship agreement, and the freely expressed wishes of the Moors concerned. This is about our people. This is about us taking control. I didn't say taking control. Yeah, we could say that. Taking control of the the future of our people, not them being subjugated and being and have the American jurisdiction, the American society control their destiny, right? Through action, through them seeing us actually doing it for our several states, it will then empower and motivate these more subjects of these territories to do the same. And we have to be there to assist them as they go through their varying stages of advancement. We're all in this together. Each one teach one. Paragraph 2 that we just read is literally saying each one teach one, each one help one, each one reach one, right? We got to help each other, right? So if we're in a barrel and a few of us reach to the top, should we not grab a rope or something and extend it down so that the others who are still in the pits can hold on to that rope and we pull them out? Or are we going to be crabs in a barrel and just be pushing everybody down? We got out, but we're going to push everybody else back in. No, paragraph 2 is about throwing that rope over. Okay, we got out. Now we throw that rope over and we pull everybody else back out. Each one teach one. Each one reach one. We're all in this together. That's what paragraph 2 is saying. Go ahead, sister. Section 3.
3, to encourage respect for human rights and for fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, nationality, gender, sex, language, or religion, and to encourage recognition of the interdependence of the native laws of the world, and 4, to ensure equal treatment in social, economic, and commercial matters for all member states of the convention and the members of the United Nations and their nationals, and equal treatment for the latter in the administration of justice without prejudice to the attainment of the foregoing objectives and subject to the provisions of Article 80. 5, any naturalized person in the United States that is classified as being Negro, Black person, colored, or African American is in fact an ipso jure Moorish subject or protege pursuant with the Madrid Convention of 1880 inter alia. 6, Moorish Americans are descendants of Moroccans who were naturalized in American jurisdiction under the Naturalization Act of 1870 and the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Also, the Moorish American has not chosen between the entire submission to the laws of the empire as set forth in the Treaty of Madrid, 1880, Article 15, Paragraph 1.
Boom. We go back up. So we even within this document or this particular article, we are identifying who our people are. This American jurisdiction. So somebody got to meet their mic, please. Within the American jurisdiction as subjugated peoples. This is public law for all to read. So, I like to call out my new term for my people is blackamoors, right? It's not a new term, but that's not how we call them. We call them Negroes, Blacks, Coloreds. It's a little bit disrespectful. Let's call them blackamoors, right? That's more, well, at least that's just how I feel. But what I'm saying is this. They got to know who they are. And that's what these bylaws, that's what that part of the bylaw is for, is to educate them as to who they are. So when you see Section 5 and Section 6, it's telling you, and it's the reason why I had 6 highlighted on the Moorish Americans, because I wanted y'all to focus on the definition of what a Moorish American really is. This is what Noble Drew Ali was saying. We all know that the brother was speaking in codes, and everything he did was signs and symbols. You recall that picture of him with all those folks around him, and he got 2 hands up? Yeah, well, that's called the grand hailing, 33-degree masonry hands gesture. If I have a breakdown on the side of the road on a highway and I stand in the middle of the highway with my hands up like that, showing the grand hailing sign, they're gonna pull over. Somebody's gonna pull over that recognizes that sign and give me help. Unless I'm not able to show that, there's other keywords and terms to identify you as a fellow Mason, Freemason, right? But if you're a Mason and you put your hands up like that, they'll pull over. I mean, if you happen to know that and then you did it, but then you don't know the other passwords, they may just take off on you, right? My point is that he spoke in signs and symbols. So he said he said why we were Moorish Americans, which is not what you want it to be. So what does it say? Well, first let's go back to 5. Any naturalized person in the United States that is classified as being a Negro. So we're already off top, but letting you know that you are naturalized. Any naturalized person in the United States. Because that's what you are, naturalized. That's why you're being called these different nom de guerres, right? Any naturalized person in the United States that is classified as being a Negro, Black person, colored, or African American is in fact an ipso jure Moorish subject. That's actually who you are, as a subjugated Moor, or protege pursuant with Madrid Convention of 1880 inter alia. It tells you right there in the Madrid Convention. That's where the term Moorish subject and subjects of Morocco and protege comes from. So then we went on to identify another class of Black people, which is Moorish Americans, which are descendants of Moroccans who were naturalized in American jurisdiction under the Naturalization Act of 1870 and the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Also, the Moorish Americans has not chosen between the entire submission to the laws of the empire as set forth in the Treaty of Madrid, 1880, Article 15, Paragraph 1. That's what a Moorish American is. In fact, that's what a Negro Black colored is as well. They all share the same uh, status, but the Moorish American status is a little lesser than the Black status because it doesn't come with any form of rights or recognition. Blacks have civil rights. Moorish Americans don't have any of that. They're just stateless, rejecting the American jurisdiction. But there's confusion with that because that when we talk about that, that's one type of a Moorish American. There's 2 types of Moorish Americans. Can anybody tell me the two types of Moorish Americans that we have in the Moorish American movement? There's 2 types of Moorish Americans. What are they?
I was thinking the teacher and the and a pupil, student.
No.
Moors who were naturalized in 1870 and the Moors from the Philadelphia
No.
legislation 875. No.
No. The 2 types of Moors that we have available to us, Moorish Americans that we have available to us, is Temple Moors and Civic Moors. Temple Moors and Civic Moors. See, the Temple Moors, they believe that they're American citizens. They believe that they're U.S. citizens, I should say. And they they follow the law because that's what they feel Prophet Noah Ali was saying, specifically with the divine warning, right? I am what does it say on the ID card? On some of the ID cards, not all of them. I am a citizen of the USA. We are part and parcel of this said government. So those ideas has our people that's within the temples adhering to the American laws and doing. See, you notice that Moorish Americans in the temples don't be going to jail. Those who are going to jail are the civic Moors, because the civic Moors are the ones going into the courtrooms challenging jurisdiction. Temple Moors don't do that. They just pay the ticket. They just act like a regular citizen, right? So they are maintaining their Black rights because it's really civil rights that they're under. But Moorish American civil Moors, civic Moors, they're rejecting all that. Yet at the same time saying that they're the actual real Americans and that they're the foreign Europeans and you have no jurisdiction over me. Your American jurisdiction does not have authority over me. Like, do you see how ridiculous that is? How can you say that? when you calling yourself an American. So those are the two. That's why we identify Moorish Americans separately than your other Negroes, blacks, and colors. But then you also have to identify two different forms of Moorish Americans, because one is the Moorish Americans from the temple, and the other ones are the Moorish Americans, or the civic Moors, who aren't in the temple, or maybe they've been in the temple, or they are still in the temple, but they operate based on civic under civic operations, right? Under law. But in this law, they enforce the Constitution, right? So the civic Moors enforce the Constitution, while at the same time saying that they're not citizens. Like, this is why the civic Moors keep going to jail. And this is why they keep getting put through psychological evaluations, because what they're doing is asinine. What do you mean I have no jurisdiction over you if you're calling yourself American, sir? And where's your state to prove that you have another protection? It doesn't exist. So it makes them stateless. Whereas black people, they at least fall under civil rights, right? They can gain some sort of remedy. You have Benjamin Crump that can get people a couple $1 million for so-called police brutality or whatever, right? There ain't no Benjamin Crump for Moorish Americans. Because Moorish Americans, they reject any form of attorney anyway. They want to defend themselves and end up going to jail. Some get away with it, right? Some beat the case, but that's not saying anything, because if you face another situation, you got to go deal with that same case. You got to deal with that same procedure all over again. The due process of law, fighting on your own as an individual Moorish American, right, to gain your remedy. Whereas what we're doing here is actually something to solve the problem across the board, which is actually decolonization. And it cannot happen as individuals. It has to happen as states. And as states, if you have states, that means that you had to unify. You had to come together. So unity is the key factor here. We have to come together to enact the Constitution and a Declaration of Independence, so that then we can be on the path to decolonize. You can't decolonize as individuals. Any questions, concerns, or comments at this point? Okay, Mother Makara, Article 77.
1. The trusteeship system shall apply to such territories in the following categories as may be placed thereunder by means of trusteeship agreements. 1. Territories now held under colonial power, consent, or acquiescence. 2. Territories that may be detached from the United States as a result of decolonization throughout the Moorish Empire. And 3. Territories voluntarily placed under the system by the Secretariat of the Convention or the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization will be responsible for the administration and defense by mutual agreement. It will be a matter for subsequent agreement as to which territories in the foregoing categories will be brought under the trusteeship system and upon what terms. Articles 75 through 85 shall be enforced by the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1836, Article 22, the Madrid Convention of 1880, Article 11, and the Act of Algeciras 1906, Article 60, inter alia. Okay. Keep going.
Yes.
Article 78. The
Okay.
trustees.
I'm sorry. So Article 11 and Article 60, just so you know, Article 11 of the Madrid Convention of 1880, right? Article 11, and the Act of Algeciras, Article 60, that's dealing with the foreigners having the right to hold property, erect buildings, and things of that nature. That's what those articles are referring to. But it's just Article 78.
Article 78, the trusteeship system shall not apply to territories that have declared their independence, deposited a ratified constitution in accordance with international law, and become members or non-members of the Charter of the United Nations, the relationship among which shall be based on respect for the principle of sovereign equality.
That will be our several steps that's already been established. Continue.
Article 79, the terms of trusteeship for each territory to be placed under the trusteeship system, including any alteration or amendment, shall be agreed upon by the states directly concerned, including the mandatory power in the case of territories held under mandate by the member of the Charter of the United Nations or by the members of the Convention in harmony with the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization, and shall be approved as provided for in Articles 83 and 85.
Mhm.
Article 80, 1, except as may be agreed upon in individual trusteeship agreements made under Articles 77, 79, and 81, placing each territory under the trusteeship system. And until such agreements have been concluded, nothing in this convention, the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization, or the Charter of the United Nations shall be construed in or of itself to alter in any manner the rights whatsoever of any states, any peoples, or terms of existing international instruments to which member states of the present convention or members of the United Nations Charter may respectively be parties.
Mhm.
2, paragraph 1 of this article shall not be interpreted as giving grounds for delay or postponement of the negotiation and conclusion of agreements for placing mandated in other territories under trusteeship system as provided for in Article 77. And 3, any islands in the United States of America or the United States claims as territories shall be subject to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1836, Article 22.
Well, you're telling them exactly what it's gonna be. All right, Article 81.
The trusteeship agreement shall, in each case, include the terms under which the trust territory will be administered and designate the authority with which will exercise the administration of the trust territory. Such authority hereinafter, called the administering authority, may be one or more states, or under the authority of the convention in harmony with the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization or the UN Charter itself. Article 82, there may be designated in any trusteeship agreement a strategic area or areas that may include part or all of the trust territory to which the agreement applies, without prejudice to any special agreement or agreements made under Article 43.
Mhm.
Article 83, 1, all functions of the present convention, the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization, and the United Nations Charter relating to strategic areas, including the approval of the terms of the trusteeship agreements and their alteration or amendment, shall be exercised by the Moroccan Security Council of Defense in cooperation with the Security Council of the UN Charter.
We don't even have a Moroccan Security Council of Defense yet. See, that's an implied task. So there's like the other one, I forgot the name of it. Let me see. Uh Economic and Social Council. These things have to be established and set up. The trusteeship council is being currently set up now as we speak. But we can't do it all at one time, right? We gotta do it slowly but surely as we continue to build. This is why we need more states and more competent Moors to come online to assist with this process. But it's on paper nonetheless. And that's what we're working towards in the future, Islam. But currently, what we do have is the WRC, the basics of the WRC, the Inspector General, the Executive Director, and the Executive Staff, the several wazirs who are the council members, and then now the Trusteeship Council. And then as we continue building, we'll start creating all those other organs. These are different organs of the WRC. Okay, continue, sister.
2, the basic objectives set forth in Article 76 shall be applicable to the people of each strategic area. 3, the Security Council of Defense, in cooperation with the Security Council of the UN Charter, shall, subject to the provisions of the trusteeship agreements and without prejudice to security considerations, avail itself of the assistance of the Trusteeship Council to perform those functions of the present convention in cooperation with the United Nations Charter under the trusteeship system relating to political, economic, social, and educational matters in the strategic areas. Article 84, it shall be the duty of the administrating authority to ensure that the trust territory shall play its part in the maintenance of international peace and security. To this end, the administrating authority may make use of volunteer forces, facilities, and assistance from the trust territory in carrying out obligations towards the Security Council of Defense in harmony with the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization, in cooperation with the United Nations Secretary of Council, undertaken in this regard by the administering authority, as well as for local defense and the maintenance of law and order within the trust territory.
Hmm.
Article 85. 1, the functions of the convention and the United Nations Charter regarding trusteeship agreements for all areas not designated as strategic, including the approval of the terms of the trusteeship agreements and of their alteration or amendment, shall be exercised by the Wazir Regional Council in cooperation with the United Nations General Assembly. 2, the Trusteeship Council, operating under the authority of the Wazir Regional Council in cooperation with the General Assembly, shall assist the Wazir Regional Council and the General Assembly in carrying out these functions.
That's what the trusteeship council will be doing, and we're currently putting that council together. We got a few people from DIMTY, Sarah, who have raised their hands to volunteer to assist within the WRC as one of the trusteeship members,
That's awesome.
which is awesome. Yeah, the Hajib, can recall the others. It's like two or three of you all, who has already volunteered.
Yeah.
So gratitude to DIMTY for your assistance.
Yeah, that's great.
Islam. Okay, go ahead. Chapter 13.
Chapter 13, the Regional Trusteeship Council in session. Composition, Article 86. 1, the Trusteeship Council of the United Nations Charter has adjourned sine die, and therefore the Wazir Regional Council shall establish a trustee council to consist as an organ of the Secretariat for 1, those trusteeship council administering trust territories. 2, such of those members mentioned by name in Article 23 as are not administering trust territories, and 3, as many other trusteeship council members elected for 3-year terms by the Wazir Regional Council as may be necessary to ensure that the total number of members of the trusteeship council is equally divided between those members of the trusteeship council which administer trust territories. Each member of the trusteeship council shall designate one specifically qualified person to represent it therein.
So as you see, the trusteeship council of the United Nations adjourned sine die, same way the United States of America Republic adjourned sine die in 1871. So it's no longer in operation or in full force, right? So this is, but for the WRC, through the WRC, we have brought back the trusteeship council for the administration of the non-self-governing territories on behalf of the ipso dromore subjects who have no idea what the hell going on in the world, right? So through educational reforms, we'll bring them up to speed at some point when it comes to that. but for now we're just building towards it. Islam. All right, continues.
Okay. Functions and powers, Article 87. The Secretariat and, under its authority, the organs of the Trusteeship Council in carrying out their functions may, 1, consider reports submitted by the administering authority. 2, accept petitions and examine them in consultation with the administering authority. 3, provide for periodic visits to the respective trust territories at times agreed upon with the administering authority. And 4, take these and other actions in conformity with the terms of the trusteeship agreements. 5, take note that the United Nations Trusteeship Council is non-functional and absent a committee. However, the UN Trusteeship Council has not dissolved the organ.
So there you go. It's being pointed out right there that the United Nations Trusteeship Council is non-functional and absent of a committee. So the United States of America Republic is non-functional and absent of a government. Same thing, right?
And what when it says on there on that paragraph, but it's not, what does it say? Can you move on? It has not dissolved the organ, meaning that someone can step into that, correct?
Yeah,
Yes, right.
yeah. And when we take back control of the charter, that's when it's going to go to the grandest potential that it could potentially be, right? Because that's what this is going to end up being. The WRC is going to end up being the United Nations. Eventually, at some point, it's gonna merge into the United Nations, because the United Nations is based on Moroccan law. We are the Security Council. The United States is sitting on our seat at the Security Council of the United Nations. That's where we're supposed to be sitting. And we're on our way to our seat with what Prophet Noble Ali said, to take your seat in the affairs of men. That's the seat he's talking about. The seat at the United Nations. Islam. Go ahead, sister.
Article 88. The Trusteeship Council shall formulate a questionnaire on the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of each trust territory. And the administrating authority for each trust territory within the competence of the Secretariat shall make an annual report to the Wazir Regional Council upon the basis of such questionnaire. Voting, Article 89. 1. Each member of the Trusteeship Council shall have 1 vote. 2. Decisions of the Trusteeship Council shall be made by a majority of the members present in the hybrid visual voting. Procedure, Article 90. 1. The Trusteeship Council shall adopt its own rules of procedure, including the method of selecting its director. The Trusteeship Council shall meet as required in accordance with its rules, which shall include provision for the convening of meetings at the request of a majority of its members. Article 91. The Trusteeship Council shall, when appropriate, avail itself of the assistance of the Economic and Social Council and of the specialized agencies regarding matters with which they are respectively concerned.
So that's the end for the Trusteeship Council. Does anyone have any questions regarding the Trusteeship Council? Okay. And so through the Trusteeship Council, we can hire on more subjects, and really anyone else without discrimination to their nationality, race, religion, color, right? It's in there. We read it just a minute ago. So that means then that we can have a Caucasian. We had this discussion earlier, white person, whatever, an American, assist the WRC with their skill set. See, we do know that a lot of these folks, they want to assist us. They know who we are. Even if they don't know fully who we are, they know subconsciously who we are. They know that we have the power and authority, and they also know that we're being subjugated, and they are willing to assist us. Remember that white lady who walked up on
Yeah.
Malcolm X
Yeah.
and asked Malcolm X if she could help. You see, they're out there. So if they come knocking at the door, why reject them? You use their assistance. The key here, Moors, is to not allow anyone outside of the nation to take back control of the pen through the legislative branch or any of the three branches of government. But assistance in the WRC, yeah, that's not a threat to our several Moroccan states in no way, shape, form, or fashion. Right? The United Nations has plenty nationalities that work within the United Nations. They don't discriminate. They check your resume is what they do. They discriminate based on your skill set, not your national origin. So here, this is chapter 14, the compulsory regional Supreme Court, which is this here. These are the bylaws for it. Let me increase it. And as you can tell, that great seal was created by the good brother Hakeem Bey of HakeemBey.com. That's where you want to go for your seals, your website, many things. He does an excellent job, HakeemBey.com. So that's the seal. However, this is the statutes of the court for the regional Supreme Court, right? And so this is where we're at here with chapter 14. Are you good to go, Sister Makara, to continue, or would you like a break and you would like someone else to read? It's up to you.
Well, I don't want to hog it. I love to read. I'm gonna tell you that. I love to read. But if someone else wants to read, they're free to go ahead.
Okay. Head and hog it, sister.
All right. Chapter 14. The compulsory
It kicked me out again, the internet. All right. Hear me? You good?
you will hear you, but you have to share the screen.
There we go.
All right. Article 92, the ipso facto compulsory regional Supreme Court shall be the recognized principal judicial organ of the convention between the Moroccan member states. It shall function in accordance with the annexed Moroccan laws, which shall be based upon the laws of the regional court and forms an integral part of the present convention to settle disputes between the Moorish states. The regional Supreme Court shall have the judicial powers to issue judgments, advisory opinions, and orders without prejudice and in accordance with the ordinary methods of international law. The Wazir Regional Council shall elect up to 9 Moorish judges to serve as permanent justices of the peace until the date of the convention is dissolved by the member states. There shall be no less than 5 judges presiding over a case at any time. The judges shall be entitled to privileges and immunities in accordance with the norms of international law. Taking further note, the regional Supreme Court justices shall recognize the ipso facto compulsory International Court of Justice as the principal organ of the World Court in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations regarding the Pacific settlement of disputes. Article 93, 1. All member states shall accept the statutes of the Regional Supreme Court by legislative measures and deposit the extension document with the Secretariat. The Secretariat shall notify the member states by promulgation. 2. A Moroccan state, which is not a member of the convention, may become a party to the statutes of the Regional Supreme Court on conditions to be determined in each case by the Wazir Regional Council upon the recommendation of the Inspector General or the Secretariat. Article 94(1). Each member state undertakes to comply with the decision of the Regional Supreme Court in any case to which it is a party. 2. If any member state or non-member state to a case fails to perform the obligations incumbent upon it under a judgment rendered by the Regional Supreme Court, the other party may have recourse to the Wazir Regional Council and the Security Council of Defense, which may, if it deems necessary, make recommendations or decide upon measures to be taken to give effect to the judgment. Article 95. Nothing in the present convention or the Charter of the United Nations shall prevent members of the convention or members of the United Nations Charter from entrusting the solution of their differences to other tribunals by virtue of agreements already in existence or which may be concluded in the future. Article 96(1). Any member of the convention may request the Regional Supreme Court and the International Court of Justice to give an advisory opinion on any legal question. 2. The United Nations General Assembly or the United Nations Secretary Council may request the International Court of Justice to give an advisory opinion on any legal question. 3. Other organs of the United Nations and specialized agencies which may at any time be so authorized by the UN General Assembly may also request advisory opinions of the International Court of Justice on legal questions arising within the scope of their activity.
So that's the RSC Regional Supreme Court. We wouldn't be using, just so you know, we wouldn't be using that court to fight battles against the United States. It's used to settle disputes amongst our states, right? And why is it that the Regional Supreme Court is not of the WRC is not to be used against, let's say, the United States? Well, because it's not consular court. Consular court is the authority that deals with the United States. So consular court will come directly from one of our several Moroccan states, depending on which dependency charter colony state has violated the rights of any of our nationals or officials within our Utipazidated jurisdiction. So if it happens within Texas, the WRC may come in to assist as a mediator between Texas and DMT. However, when it comes on to adjudicate the state of Texas, that would be DMT's consular court who would be the one who have power and authority to do so, not the RSC. However, the RSC's responsibility falls in which there's a dispute between, let's say, DMT and AMPAG. So if DMT and AMPAG got some sort of a dispute, that's when the RSC would come in and settle that dispute. And that's why you have to, when you become a member state, you have to recognize the compulsory jurisdiction of the RSC, because then in doing so, you're giving it its authority to operate as it relates to settling dispute amongst our states. Any question on that? Okay. We may continue. Looks like we'll be finishing today. Sounds good. I'm glad we're going to finish today. We got some more things to go discuss in the next couple of weeks. Go ahead, sister.
Chapter 15, the Secretariat, Article 97. The Secretariat shall comprise an executive director and an inspector general and such staff as the Secretariat may require. The executive director shall be appointed by vote by the Wazir Regional Council. The executive director shall be the chief administrative officer over the Secretariat and the office of the Inspector General. The Wazir Regional Council is entitled to choose from different nationalities to serve as representatives of the Secretariat and its organs.
There you go. There you go. We may choose from different nationalities to serve as representatives of the Secretariat and its organ, right? And the executive director of the WRC will be Nova Eluel, who is also the assistant minister of foreign affairs for AMPAG, Colonial Morris Parade in Monte, Colorado. And the inspector general will be Marcus Maymoon El Marzouk, who is the minister of defense for Colonial Morris Parade in Monte, Colorado. So we have those two positions covered, the executive director and the inspector general. Keeping in mind that the inspector general definitely has a background through the military that fits well for the position that he's playing, that not playing, but operating or the position that he's in. Let's put it that way. We looked at his resume and it's extensive. It's ridiculous. He has like 3 degrees. The brother's just a brainiac, right? He's like a Terminator when it comes on to administrative processes, reforms, standard operating procedures, and things of that nature. So he's a great fit for what it is that we're seeking to accomplish through the WRC, same as Nova, the executive director. Okay, continue, Sister 98. Is that where we left off?
Go back up. Let me make sure.
I don't think that's where we left. Maybe
All right.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
that is.
Yeah.
98. The executive director and the inspector general shall act in the capacity in all meetings of the Wazir Regional Council, the secretary, the Security Council of Defense, the Economic and Social Council, and the Trusteeship Council shall perform such other functions as are entrusted to the office by these organs. The executive director or the inspector general shall make an annual report to the Wazir Regional Council on the work of the convention. Article 99, the executive director or the inspector general may bring to the attention of the Wazir Regional Council any matter which, in his opinion, may threaten the maintenance of the international peace and security. Article 100. 1. In the performance of their duties, the executive director, the inspector general, and the staff shall not seek or receive instructions from any government or from any other authority external to the convention. They shall refrain from any action which might reflect on their position as regional officials responsible only to the Wazir Regional Council of the convention. 2. Each member state undertakes to respect the exclusively regional character of the responsibilities of the executive director or the inspector general and the staff, and not to seek to influence them in the discharge of their responsibilities. Article 101. 1. The staff shall be appointed by the executive director under regulations established by the executive director in cooperation with the council. 2. Appropriate staff shall be permanently assigned to the Economic and Social Council, the Trusteeship Council, and, as required, to other organs of the Security Council of Defense. These staff shall form a part of the Secretariat. The paramount consideration in the employment of the staff and in the determination of the conditions of service shall be the necessity of securing the highest standards of efficiency, competence, and integrity. Due regard shall be paid to the importance of recruiting the staff on as wide a geographical basis as possible. Chapter 16, Miscellaneous Provisions, Article 102. 1. Every treaty, every regional agreement, and every international agreement entered by any member of the state of the convention after the present convention comes into force shall, as soon as possible, be registered with the Secretariat and published by it. 2. No party to any such treaty, regional agreement, or international agreement which has not been registered in accordance with the provisions of Part paragraph 1 of this article may invoke the treaty, regional agreement, or agreement before any organ of the convention. No state is allowed to become a party to the present convention without the consent of 2/3 majority vote of the Wazir Regional Council. 4, the present multilateral convention shall be open for signature by all interdependent Moorish states to become a party to the convention. 5, the present convention is subject to ratification. The protocol instruments of ratification shall be deposited with the office of the Secretariat. 6, the present convention shall remain open for the accession by any more state. 7, the present convention shall enter into force on the 3rd day following the date of certified recognition from the Wazir Regional Council. 8, the office of the Secretariat shall inform all more states as to the newly recognized state.
So that's the provisions, right? If you look at all the other treaties and conventions and international documents, there's a procedure for acceding to it. And it's usually it usually revolves around depository. So like if you accede to the rights of indigenous people, you have to deposit that with the United Nations. But if you accede to any of the resolutions that comes out of the WRC, to include the WRC convention itself, it gets deposited back with the Secretariat. Same difference, same thing, right? But then also the United Nations. Everything that we do, we deposit with the United Nations, so they can be aware of the progress of our several Moroccan states. This is why what we've been doing is so powerful, because every correspondence, everything that we do, every document we put together, the United Nations get a copy. And so in the United States, when we submit our consular court orders, if the United States ignore it, which they have been ignoring it, no worries. Guess who's aware? The United Nations, right? So what happens is there's a case being built against them. So now when we take them to the ICJ, there's a paper trail to prove their extraterritoriality, and also to prove that we exhausted all measures to settle a dispute under diplomatic means, right? Based on the Pacific Settlement of Disputes Article, oh Lord, what article is it? Chapter 6 of the Charter, right? Meaning that we're showing and proving by documentary evidence that we have been following the instructions, but to no avail. So now the international referee must come in and assist us in settling the dispute, and that would be the United Nations along with the International Court of Justice, right? All right, sister, continue.
I'm sorry, my thing went on mute. Article 103, in the event of a conflict between the obligations of the member states under the present convention and their obligations under any other international agreement, their obligations under the Act of Algeciras of 1906, Chapter 7 shall prevail. Article 104, the Wazir Regional Council.
Well, that right there. It says, in the event of a conflict between the obligations of the member states under the present convention and their obligation under any other international agreement, their obligations under the Act of Algeciras of 1906, Chapter 7, 7, shall prevail. Where does that come from? Let's go to, what do you mean by that? Let's see. Let's see if I can get straight to it. Okay, this one is a straight English version. Chapter 1, article right here. No, these stipulations shall only Sorry about that. Let me see. 123. And last, Article 123. And last, all treaties, conventions, and arrangements of the signatory powers with Morocco remain in force. So see, the signatory powers with Morocco. Who are the signatory powers? United States, Germany, Great Britain, Spain, etc. It is understood, however, that in case of conflict between their provisions and those of the present General Act, the stipulations of the latter shall prevail. So the stipulations of the Act of Adhere shall prevail over any and all other international agreements. And that's what's being said here. When it says in the event of a conflict between the obligations of the member states under the present convention and their obligations under any other international agreement, their obligations under the Act of Algeciras of 1906, Chapter 7, shall prevail. Islam, I continue to finish up. We're almost finished.
Article 104, the Wazir Regional Council, its organs and its staff shall enjoy in the territory of each of its member states, non-member states in Morocco and abroad, such legal capacity as may be necessary for the exercise of its functions and the fulfillment of its purposes. Article 105. 1. The Wazir Regional Council, its organs, and its staff shall enjoy privileges and immunities as are necessary for the fulfillment of its purposes. 2. Representatives of the member states of the convention, the officials, diplomats, experts, and personal assistant staff of the representatives shall similarly enjoy such privileges and immunities as are necessary for independent exercise of their functions in connection with the convention. The Wazir Regional Council, in cooperation with the Executive Director and the Inspector General, may make recommendations with a view to determining the details of the application of paragraphs 1 and 2 of this article, or propose conventions to the members of the convention for this purpose. 3. A list of names and titles shall be made available for any diplomat or consular staff as a natural corollary to the Consular Notification and Access Manual. Chapter 17, Transitional Security Arrangements, Article 106. Pending the coming into force of such special agreements referred to in Article 43, as in the opinion of the Security Council of Defense, in cooperation with the United States of Morocco Treaty Organization, shall enable it to begin the exercise of its responsibilities under Article 42. Affirming that the contracting parties to the bilateral Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1786 and 1836, the Multilateral Madrid Convention of 1880, and the Multilateral Act of Algeciras of 1906, signed between the Empire of Morocco and the United States of America, shall, in accordance with the provisions of the treaties, consult with one another. Convinced that the General Assembly or the Security Council of the United Nations shall investigate allegations of human rights violations inter alia as may be necessary for the purpose of maintaining international peace and security in Morocco. Moreover, the International Court of Justice, the case concerning rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco, judgment of August 27, 1952, shall serve as case law and well-settled principles in the Moorish Empire.
Yeah, we threw that in there.
Recalling that in the year 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt of the United States International Organization declared that the government of the United States of America, having no political interest in Morocco and no desire or purpose having emanated it to take part in this conference other than to secure for all peoples the widest equality of trade and privilege with Morocco, and to facilitate the institutions of reforms in that country tending to ensure complete cordiality of intercourse without and stability of administration within for the common good, declares that in acquiescing in the regulations and declarations of the conference, in becoming signatory to the General Act of Algeciras and to the additional protocol, subject to ratification according to the constitutional procedure and in accepting the application of these regulations and declarations to American citizens and interests in Morocco.
They acquiesced and acquiescing in the regulations and declarations of the conference. What conference? The Act of Algeciras, and becoming a signatory power or signatory to the General Act. See, okay, got to do it. Back to the Act of Algeciras. And we've been through this before. We went over this. These are the additional protocol. And this is where we got this language from. This is what we're talking about. Where is it at? Right here. No. It's the wrong copy. Which copy has it? Or did I pass it up? Yeah, this is the wrong copy. I wonder if the French copy has it. Yeah, this is it right here. The government of the United States of America, having no political interest in Morocco and no desire or purpose, having animated it to take part in this conference, other than to secure for all peoples the widest equality of trade and privilege with Morocco, and to facilitate the institution of reforms in that country, what country, Morocco, tending to ensure complete cordiality of intercourse without and stability of administration within for the common good, declares that in acquiescing and the regulations and declarations of the conference and becoming a signatory to the General Act of Algeciras and to the additional protocols subject, right, to ratification according to constitutional procedure, and in accepting the application of those regulations and the declarations to American citizens and the interest in Morocco, it does so without assuming obligation or responsibility for the enforcement thereof, period. This is where we get that from, right? And we are recalling that in the year of 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt said this right here, which is also telling you why they acquiesced. They acquiesced because they wanted to have, they wanted their people to have the widest, right, equality of trade and privilege with Morocco, right? But then he goes further, which we've already discussed this, right here where it says, as part of this act of ratification, that the Senate understands that the participation of the United States in the Algeciras Conference and in the formulation and adoption of the General Act and Protocol, which resulted therefrom, was with the sole purpose of preserving and increasing its commerce in Morocco, the protection as to life, liberty, and property of its citizens residing or traveling therein, and of aiding by its friendly offices and efforts in removing friction and controversy which seem to menace the peace between the powers signatory with the United States to the Treaty of 1880. So they're looking for property, commerce, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that in their constitution? Everything that they have ever desired, they gain or got from Morocco. Everything that they have today is because we allowed them to have it, whether it was through acquiescence or what have you, right? Because they are the tenants, so they are dependent upon us. That's why they are the dependent states. Dependent on what? Dependent on Moroccan law, dependent upon the Empire of Morocco. Remember, George Washington gave the Sultan thanks for his attachment to his dominions. All right, go ahead and finish up, sister. 107.
Nothing in the present convention shall invalidate or preclude action in relation to any previous actions taken against a non-member state who becomes a new member state of the convention. After the Wazir Regional Council votes to accept a new member state by consent, then any past administrative action taken against the new member state shall be expunged and deemed sealed records without prejudice. Chapter 18, Amendments, Article 108. Amendments to the present convention shall come into force for all member states of the convention when they have been adopted by a 2/3 vote of the Wazir Regional Council and ratified in accordance with their respective constitutional processes. Article 109, 1. The General Council of the Wazir Regional Council, the General Conference of the Wazir Regional Council of the convention for the purpose of renewing the present convention may be held at a date and place to be fixed by a 2/3 vote of the members of the council. 2, any amendment of the present convention recommended by 2/3 vote of the conference shall take effect when ratified in accordance with their respective constitutional processes after a 2/3 vote of the Wazir Council has been concluded. 3, if such conference has not been held before the 3rd annual session of the Wazir Regional Council meeting following the coming into force of the present convention, the proposal to call such a conference shall be placed on the agenda of that session of the council, and the conference shall be held if so desired by a majority vote of the Wazir Regional Council. Article 19, ratification and signature, Article 110. 1, the present convention shall be ratified by the signatory states in accordance with their respective constitutional processes. 2, the ratification shall be deposited with the Office of the Secretariat Ascensions Portal, which shall notify all the signatory states of each deposit, as well as the executive director of the Secretariat when he or she has been elected. 3, the present convention shall come into force upon the deposit of ratifications by the state of Alodia Moorish Palladium Ante Colorado, the state of Alodia Moorish Palladium of New Mecca, the state of Alodia Moorish Palladium Ante Georgia, and the state of Meru State Republic. A protocol of the ratifications deposited shall thereupon be drawn upon by the Office of the Secretariat of the Convention, which shall communicate copies thereof to all the signatory states. 4, the states signatory to the present convention which ratify it after it has come into force will become original members of the multilateral convention for the establishment of a Wazir Regional Council in the Moroccan Empire on the date of the deposit of their respective ratifications. Article 111, the original signatures to the present convention shall remain deposited in the archives of the government of Alodia Moorish Palladium Ante Colorado. Duly certified copies thereof shall be transmitted by the government to the governments of the other signatory states. The signatory parties are listed below. In faith whereof the representatives of the governments of the assembly have signed and affixed their seal to the present convention in the Empire of Morocco to establish the Wazir Regional Council, done at the capital of Alodia Moorish Palladium Ante Colorado on 30th of January 2023. DeAndre
Dre Bay.
Bay.
Yep, so go ahead.
For Alodia Palladium Ante Colorado, Wazir Aris, DeAndre Dre Bay.
Wait, what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
voice. It
yeah,
should
that's
be Mia Hassan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we'll go back and fix that and me highlight that. Okay, go ahead.
For Alodia Moorish Palladium New Mecca, Wazir Aris, Amir Hassan El. See, he's up top.
Messed up too. Yep, because it's got me here. Oh
Yeah.
Lord, you didn't notice this? Oh, I'm glad we're going on. I'm glad we're being noticed now. And you see how this signature came out on this? Yeah, I think it's the form. It might be the formatting because I don't recall it being that way. Let me see over here.
This one is there's not enough space between those two signatures. It's like that.
Yeah, same thing here.
Yeah.
But it's the same copy though.
Yeah.
So okay. I'm glad we read it all the way down because we can fix that as just a quick administrative fix.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's DeAndre Dre Bay from AMPAG, Amir Hassan from New Mecca, Abdul Bay from AMPAG, Akil Bay from Maru State Republic, and Camden from Dempsey. No, actually, that's it. It's
Yeah.
us four. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Dempsey and AMPAM are member states. Whereas those four states that we just mentioned that's on the signature line, those are the negotiating states, right? So you got your negotiating states and then you have your member states. So everyone who came after the negotiations or the establishment and creation of the WRC now becomes what you call member states. So that concludes the reading of the WRC Wazir Regional Convention. It's now been made public for the record. Eventually soon here as we continue building up the WRC, because keep in mind there's a lot of work here. It's a lot of implied tasks. It's 13 articles, 111 articles, right? Which has a lot of implied tasks. There's a lot of things that we've got to put together that we're still putting together, and it's going to be an ongoing process for quite some time until it's all completed. But you start somewhere. And so, where was I going with this? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this?
You were talking about the implied tasks of this information and how we need more people and
I lost my train of thought. It'll come back, I suppose. Man, I hate when I lose my train of thought. It'll come back at some point, I suppose. But what I was saying is that at some point it's going to be made public as a link. Eventually we're going to have the WRC's own website. Excuse me. However, for now, we utilize Facebook. So everyone, please make sure to go to Facebook and friend it's called Wazir Council on Facebook. From there, you'll have access perhaps through Facebook or maybe even the YouTube channel or one of the social media channels. We'll let you know. I'll inform you all whenever it becomes, whenever we're able to put together this link, which is not a whole lot of work, obviously, but we do have other work that takes precedence, right? Or should I say that takes priority. We have to get done first. But eventually it's going to be available for everyone to read is the point that I'm trying to say. You'll be able to download it and read it. But for now, we did a verbal read as 4 videos. This is the 4th one to complete the entire WRC. So now it's on the record so that everyone have access to, even if it's just through listening to the videos. But eventually it will be available for everyone to download, read, keep a copy for yourself. It's public law. It's not nothing private about it. Anyone can have a copy. I haven't offered a copy because there's so many people in the AMPAG media. I go crazy trying to disseminate this. Well, you know what? I can just post it on the AMPAG media one time, and everyone can just have access to it from there. That's gonna be. I'll do that. I just thought about that. I'll post it on AMPAG media. But first we got to fix some of the formatting here. There's a few errors with the formatting, and it's not even that it's errors. I think that it got reformatted once it was converted from Word to PDF. That tends to happen, and it'll throw the formatting off, and weird things happen. I'm pretty sure we had those signature lines in order. I don't know what happened there. That's a formatting issue, I suppose. I hope it is, because I know we didn't have it like that. We couldn't have. We couldn't have. No, we couldn't have. It had to have been in order. I don't know what happened there, Morris, but we'll fix it. That's not a big deal. The point is that at least we have the bylaws in place. We have the wording in place. We have the law in place, and now we just got to build upon it and continue establishing the different organs as we see in these implied tasks that you're reading as we read through this convention. It's a lot of work. Several organs that we got to put together. But the first organ that we're starting with is the trusteeship council, because the trusteeship council is a paramount necessity, because it's dealing with the non-self-governing territories and the Moorish subjects in those territories who need assistance with establishing their states. Islam. So anyhow, I will yield the floor for any questions, concerns, comments, until what time is it? 9:30, until I guess it's 9:25. So I guess till around 9:35-ish, 10 minutes of Q&A or conversation. So I yield the floor. Islam. Anyone?
I had a question, but I forgot.
Will anyone?
Islam, I have a questions. This is Aziz Hano Bey out of Serum. Question is, what's the
How are you?
doing good? I'm glad I made it. I'm glad your power made it, because I was thinking we weren't going to make it.
Yeah, I know it was. Yeah, exactly.
I laid it. Yeah, it was. I had the communication to you. I said, well, I guess we're not having it tonight. Let me lay it back down. I got up 30 minutes later. Oh, we're in class. Okay. I was like, okay, let me get. But what's the topic for next week? What's the what we having next week? There'll be a topic next week that we're gonna discuss
at the moment, but I will come up with something between now and then, and I'll put it in the chat. Unless someone has something specific they wanted to talk about, we can talk about that.
Okay. Good enough.
Yeah, if you have something specifically that you wanted to talk about, let me know and we'll talk about it.
At the moment, I don't, but I'm sure I'll come up with something.
Islam.
Islam.
So excellent inauguration that you had, same as Apani. I just seen theirs. Man, you guys are rocking, man. I gratitude to you all for having the discipline and the eyes to see and the ears to hear, first of all, to recognize your true identity as Moroccans and then do something about it, in pursuant to Article 15 of the Treaty of Madrid, or paragraph 1. You have chosen between the entire submission. You have reclaimed North Carolina, including Charlotte. We were talking about this earlier before coming on. You know, we all know, and I'm not sure if we all know, but we should know that Charlotte was the Queen of England, and she was a Moor, right? Of Mecklenburg, i.e. Mecklenburg County of Charlotte, North Carolina. Which shows that's kind of like proof of the British Moor seeking to conquer Moroccan lands. We're not British, so we shouldn't be proud of Queen Charlotte. I should be proud of it, right? Not understanding is really conquest over Moroccan lands. We're Moroccans, not British. So then that means that the queen of the Moroccan should have been named after a Moroccan queen, the city in Morocco, not after a British queen.
Excuse me, YJ. I think you're breaking up. I don't know if it's just me, but you're breaking up.
Yes, you're a bit like echoing, or you're distorted a bit.
Oh, I'm glad you told me, sister. You guys gotta let me know ASAP as soon as you start hearing that. Can you hear me better?
So far, yeah.
Talk a little bit more. Yeah.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check
Okay,
1
yeah,
1.
we're good. We're good.
That's better.
Okay. So I was saying we're not British, but that shows that there's British. The British Moors are behind a lot of this. A lot of the was, you know, what took place with colonization of Moroccan lands. You know, so I'm glad to see that Serum has taken back control over that Utipazadeh's jurisdiction. Ampani has taken over control of of New York, Ante, New York. And we're just continue growing, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. It's beautiful. I mean, you guys' inauguration, man, has, you know, brought tears to my eyes, man. You know, tear of joy. Saying it did the same for Jay Bay. He called me. He's like, man, this stuff just is overwhelming to see that the Moors are actually making steps to decolonize, and it really touches the brother's heart. You know, it brings tears of joy to his eyes to see every inauguration. because every inauguration is bringing us that much closer to decolonization. And that's what this thing is all about. It's something that we've never discussed. All my years in this Moorish movement, I've never heard the term. I mean, yeah, I've heard the term decolonization, but not really as it applies to us. You know, nobody talks about decolonization. Nobody talks about true liberation. We've went as far as tried to go back to Africa. Oh man, and do what there? Because they're subjugated too. Like, what you going back to Africa for? You know, but they're subjugating themselves more so than, because remember their colonization is dealing with across the borders, whereas our colonization is right in our backyard and our front yard. Right? It's we're cohabitating with the colonists, but the colonists usurped us and conquered us, right? And remember that colonist doesn't have a face or a national status. It's an act, which means, I mean, the original colonists are Moors. That's how you establish the empire. The empire is a vast land of colonized territories. We were the original colonists. We were the original conquistadors, conquerors, right? Ancient times, you know, we've done a lot. There's nothing new under the sun, and everything comes from us. If we were the children, if we're all the children of, if all humanity is children of God, and all of humanity is divided up into different families, different nations, then who is the eldest? Moors, the melanated folks, the Asiatics of the world. We are the elders people on the land, on planet Earth. We are the cradle of civilization. So everything started with us, and everything will end with us. We are the Alpha and Omega. We are the slave and the masters, right? We are the beginning and we are the end. That's what the checkerboard, that's one of the reasons for the checkerboard. That's one of the things that the checkerboard represents, right? Alpha and Omega, the six-pointed star. One triangle pointing up, one triangle pointing down forms the six-pointed star. As above, so below. As within, so without, right? Islam, I yield. Any other comments, concerns, questions? The Moors are emerging. We're coming back into power. What we're experiencing is order out of chaos, because it's been a chaotic ride, right? But we needed the chaos in order to then establish order. We had to reign, we got to now reign in the order and establish order, law and order, Moroccan law and order. That which has been missing for the past few centuries, because we've been acquiescing. And our own people helped us with such acquiescence. How? By selling us out. Obstructionists, Negro preachers and leaders, and Moorish American teachers and leaders. Both of them had us all in a state of confusion, not knowing who we are. We have been Americanized. It's been a speedy Americanization process that has taken place. Swift and quick Americanization process on many levels, starting with legislation, right? Naturalization Act, 1870. And thereafter with education, which still required the pen. It's all been done with the pen. The Webster's, 1828 Webster's Dictionary was written with a pen, wasn't it? All the curriculum that we are under, that's written with a pen, isn't it? Right? Everything has been done with a pen. Whether it's through legislation or through literature, we've been Americanized. Now you got, we've got this narrative out here that Al-Morocco And now Morocco and all that means America. No, it don't. No, the hell it don't. Stop it. In fact, you don't even see the term al in front of Morocco or Morocco in no treaty. What you see is Morocco. You don't even see Morocco. You see Morocco. The French call us Maroc or Moroccans, which is a translation to Moroccans. When you look at the so we see it here. Let's look at it real quick. Let's Control F. Why is my Control F not coming up? Where is it coming up? Let's see. Hey, what's up with my control? Oh, there it is. All right, so let's type in Moorish. All right, 42 times. So here it says Moorish government on the right side. On the left side, let me highlight this, which is the left side is the French side. So on the right, which is in the English version, and the French version is Moroccan. Gouvernemente. Gouvernemente. Or governments, however you pronounce it in French. See, government Moroccan. Look at that. So on the French side, it says government Moroccan. On the right side, which is the English side, it says Moorish government. What are we talking about? We're Moors. We're Moroccans. Can't even spell Morocco without more. That's the first word that's coming out of your mouth before you even finish the term Morocco. First thing you're gonna say is more. Period. I've been saying that for the longest.
Question, Nobel.
Yes, Noble.
Will the document that we are drafting now and futuristically be drafted bilingually?
I'm sorry, say it again. I think I might have missed the question. Say it again.
Will all the documents that we are drafting, present and futuristically, will they be drafted bilingually using a native language as well as a commercialized international language? In example, this document we're looking at written in French and English.
Mhm.
Is that something on the agenda?
No.
Or consideration?
No, that's not nothing that's on the agenda. But the reason why it's in French and is in English and it's in English because according to the United Nations and the ICJ, those are the two languages of international law. So if anyone were to submit any type of document to the United Nations or the ICJ, it would have to be in either English or French. And so that's why it's in English and in French. Will the time come when we may reestablish whatever language standard? Yeah, that time will come, but we're not even nowhere near that yet, right? Because remember, the world has moved on since our acquiescence, and now English and French is the language of the world right now, and at least as it relates to international law. We don't even know how to speak Moroccan Arabic. Moxen, the term Moxen is a Moroccan Arabic term, right? So there is such a thing as Moroccan Arabic. How many Moroccans know the Arabic term? Let me ask y'all a question. How many Moroccans here on the line can tell me 5 sultans? 5 sultans. It doesn't even have to be in order. It can be out of order. Can anybody rattle off 5 sultans? Probably not. Neither can I. I can say Sidi Muhammad and I'm done. Not sure too many after that. Okay. Now let me ask these same Moroccans. How many presidents, United States presidents, can you rattle off the top of your head? 5. Just give me 5. Can you? I'm sure as hell you can. I can. Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., Obama, and let's say Trump. You see how easy that was? But I can't tell you too many Moroccan sultans. I can say Sidi Muhammad, and I'm pretty much done after that, Morris. Yeah, we've been subjugated. So to talk about changing the language, man, we better learn our history first. That's part of decolonization. We need educational reform so we can relearn our history. And then really come, because then once we do that collectively as a whole, as a Moorish nation, all of us, all the melanated folks come together finally in recognition of their ancient customs. Once that happens, oh man, that's, oh Lord, have mercy. Oh man, that is not something that they want. We're going to be going too hard in the paint when it comes to liberation and making sure that we don't lose the empire ever again. And once we get back to that state, that status, that mental state, oh man, that we are not going to lose.
On that note, my next question is, and forgive me if this was mentioned, I want to think it was stated in the document read, but just for clarification, what body within what council body will be responsible for drafting the United States of Morocco Constitution when the time comes?
The Wazir Regional Council. Because remember, the Wazir Regional Council is all the Wazirs sitting at one round table, all the heads of state.
Okay.
And then
Now,
cooperation with each one of their states. Go ahead.
when that is done, when that day comes and that is done and established, if any provincial state has within their sovereignty and independence laws that does not harmonize or synchronize, will it be suggested that such state amend their constitution to be in synchronity with the United States of Morocco Constitution?
Yeah, I mean, before you even gain recognition, you would have to be in line with the Constitution of Morocco. But it's not. This is how you remain in line with the Constitution of Morocco, or any constitution for that matter. There should be no language within your constitution that goes against the preemptory norms of international law, which is human rights. If you violate human rights or any form of international law, you got a problem, which then means you won't be recognized anyway, because we have to review your constitution before accepting you. So as long as there's no language that's going against that, then you'll be in harmony. There's nothing to overthink there. You follow what I'm saying? Does that answer your question?
Islam, Nobel.
Yeah.
The reason for the question, just to make it, bring clarity, is because as we are establishing each territory, independent territory, they are doing their constitution, and yes, we know there is a prototype to which most, if not all, states are following. But based on their sovereignty and independence, each state can implement a constitutional law as that state seems fit or best.
Yes.
So it was just a thought, a consideration. What if that law does not violate human rights, but at the same time just may have a bit of conflict when the United States of Morocco Constitution is drafted, being that it will be drafted after the formation of each state as they are now?
Right. I hear what you're saying. That's something that we'd have to visit when it gets here. We cross that bridge when it gets here, if it comes.
Islam.
Because remember, we have to examine every constitution before you even get recognized anyway. We got to make sure that your constitution is in line and in harmony. So that's going to be we would pick up on that beforehand, first, early on in the encounter, right? Because you have to submit your constitution, and we'll be able to. That's one of the very first things you'd have to do. And through that process, through that vetting process is how we identify if you are in violation or you're in harmony. And if you're in harmony, then chances are that you'll maintain that same constitution, which is the same harmony when the United States of Morocco is finally enacted, or even thereafter.
Okay, another question. Now, being that the floor is muted, so I guess it's going to be a monologue versus a dialogue with everyone else between you and myself. We have, as it is right now, the WRC Regional Conference, which has already been established, and now the next established council will be the Trusteeship Council. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. On that note, and based on the answer given previously, that it will be the WRC Regional Conference, the WRCs, who will be drafting the United States Constitution. It leads me to the question as, how many states or how many territory are we waiting on to actually be effectuated before such a task being approached? That's the Constitution, that is.
I don't think that we're waiting on the states to be, we're not waiting on a specific number of states. What we have to do first, before we could even bring the empire into existence, is we have to force the United States into acquiescing to Moroccan law. So that's where we're at. And currently we're working through some things that's speeding up the process as it relates to forcing them to adhere to Moroccan law, whether it be by their own acquiescence or a judgment from the ICJ, either or, meaning either they're going to settle out of court or they're going to we're going to have to take it all the way to the International Court of Justice. And that's going to be that's the end point. At that point now, if that happens, now
when that happens,
well, yes, when that happens.
You're not being heard, Noble. Your mic is gone.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Can you hear you now?
Okay, I don't know where I lost you all, but my
You lost us when you just start responding to my last question.
oh man, I said a lot too. My phone kicked me out. This phone, I don't know why it keeps doing this.
You were saying when they acquiesce or be taken to the ICJ.
Correct. So we're not waiting for a specific amount of states. What we're working towards is forcing the United States to acquiesce to our Moroccan laws, whether it be they settle out of court or based on a judgment from the ICJ. And also the signing of Public Law 856 is also what I mentioned. Which means that they have by signing Public Law 856, they would have fully relinquished extraterritoriality in Morocco. So now that we've established Moroccan law and they've relinquished their jurisdiction, now we can, however many number of states we have at the time when that happens, is when now we move into the United States of Morocco, if you understand what I'm saying. And in other words, we're not necessarily waiting for a specific number. What we're working towards is the acquiescence of the United States to Moroccan law. And at that point, we can move forward with establishing the United States of Morocco, regardless on how many states we have at the time. So, but at that time, we should have at least 8, because right now we've got 6 with 2 working on recognition, which is Ante New York and Ante Charlotte, or Ante North Carolina. So yeah, we're not waiting on a specific number. We're working towards making our Moroccan law stick against the United States and their nationals. And we're combating, one thing that we're combating is customs and usage, right? They're so accustomed and used to us acquiescing that, you know, it's not going to be easy for them to just automatically say, okay, well, let's just give it all up. It's going to be a battle. right? It's a pen battle. We're at war right now, Morris, but it's a political war. It's a diplomatic war with the pen. Can y'all hear me?
Loud and clear, Noble.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a diplomatic war with the pen. It's a political war that we're dealing with right now. We're doing we're literally putting together several political maneuvers, chestnut checkers.
Islam, can I interject?
Yes, by all means. Who is this?
This is Blanca Bay from California.
Islam, brother.
Okay, we should be coming online in a minute.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we
Tell me
just-
it ain't so. Are you working with Sister Nasara?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I told her to tell you about it. She said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm scared, but man, don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Yeah,
don't
don't be
bite.
scared. Come online, sister. Come online, mother."
I'm here to deal with the colonists.
Yes,
Talk about the
that's right.
colonists and obstructionists, not my people, you know?
Yes, we did our paperwork the other day.
Awesome. Have you been in contact with the executive director, Nova?
I'm pretty sure she has.
Okay. I don't think she has, but she's been in
Okay.
contact with me though.
Okay, she
So-
has.
So what is your progress? I know you got a seal, and I believe you've got a flag, you've got a constitution put together.
Yes,
Okay.
we actually did the signing of our constitution. We did our election and signing of the constitution. We did all that. That was Thursday, I believe. Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
did a lot. How many of you guys is there?
Right now it's like 5.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good number. That's
May
a
I ask
strong
what's the name
minimum.
of your, excuse me, Noble, forgive me. May I ask what's the name of the territory?
Oh, California.
Mhm.
No, that's a trust territory. Your name as it will be now for the future.
Oh, my name?
No,
No.
your state's name.
The name of the state, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vita California.
Okay.
VI, like VIA.
Vita, yes.
Oh, Vita, V. Okay, spell it.
Wait a minute. V. How did she spell that? Let me just spell it so I won't get it all wrong.
Is Nasara on the call?
Yeah,
Are you-
she's right there.
Oh, it's in the chat. She just put it in the chat. VITA.
Yeah, VIT.
Okay. Vita.
I don't know. I don't know why she's nervous to come online.
She's online here, brother. She just put it in the chat. So
I mean, to actually speak.
Okay.
That's awesome. Let me see. Let me take a look at it.
There you go. That's how. Yeah.
Okay, Vita, California. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Vita California. Yeah, that's how I spell it.
Yeah. Okay. that's fine.
Noble, is it not wisdom that it also make mention of what it is that they're creating? Because just having Vita California, it doesn't state if it's a state, an organization, a club, or body what. So with that, the predium should be implemented in some form of and then the anti also. I think that's two pertinent, adjective that should be implemented in any new state name that is being made, don't you think?
No, but what I would say, they'll have to implement ante or paradium, but they could be Vita California State Republic, for example, like Maru State
Right,
Republic.
state, exactly, state
Yeah.
republic. So it's right.
Mhm.
So it specify what it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That would be but but you also have so many states around planet Earth that doesn't have state republic. Like, for example, it's just China, it's just Korea. So like in this case, it's just Vita California. So
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't on the surface, as a new state going through your varying stages of advancement, on the surface, I can see your point. However, there won't be a new state forever. There's going to be over time, that name would stick, and it's just it would be already known Vita California as a state. But it's just that we're so new that we feel that we have to identify ourselves as a state, but you don't necessarily have to. Your name is a name is a name. You don't have to have state republic or anything like that in front of it. Over time, imagine 100 years from now, will people not recognize it as a state? It's just that it's brand new. So what you're saying is based on the fact that they're brand new, but I don't see it as a necessity. Vita California is sufficient as is, in my opinion. But I also do see the point that you're trying to make here, where if they could add in state republic to it. But what I'm saying is it's not necessary. It would be good, but it's not necessary. If they're happy.
If it doesn't interfere with integrity of domain and so forth, then
Oh,
it's
no,
fine.
no, it doesn't interfere.
Absolutely.
With that. No, it doesn't interfere. It doesn't interfere with that. Your constitution is your constitution. Your constitution laid down the law. And if in the constitution is your name, you have named the state Vita California, then that's what it is. The good brother Kirk Palmer Bay out in Florida, I'm not sure if he's online or anyone from the Florida Republic, tripping. It's not Florida
I think
Republic.
think
That is
Brother
not the
Yahya
correct
was
term.
on.
That is
So
not the correct term. It's the Florida state of Florida. But they're utilizing the name Al Andalusia without state republic, just Al Andalusia, single word, which is fine with me as well. So you'll have Vita California and Al Andalusia. You know, Meru State Republic, we don't even call them Meru State Republic. We just call them Meru. So they could have just been Meru. You see? So now I would think that that's overthinking it. I think that as long as you have a constitution, that's what determines that you have a state. Over time, the people, the optics, the public understanding of the state will be of the name will be recognized as a state naturally over time. But now, they're just going through their various stages of advancement. So, I hope I answered that question as well. But yes, California, that's what's up, brothers. Or I don't say California, brothers and sisters. The other one that was supposed to come online, by the way, was Area State Republic. And they dissolved themselves. I don't know what happened. Like within days of their inauguration, they just suddenly just called it quits. And they had a really nice flag, seal, Constitution, website. I mean, they put everything together. I mean,
and what trust territory is this, Noble?
It was California. It was a group of Moors in California a couple months ago.
Okay.
And they dismantled or dissolved themselves and just didn't go forward with anything. They just didn't complete the process and they disappeared. I don't know what happened with that. But I'm glad to see that other Moors thought proper to pick up the torch where they left it off and establish Vita California, California. What's the I'm not sure if she has the nerves to come off mute, Sister Nasara. But what is the inspiration behind the name? Where you guys get the name from?
Well,
I can speak to that.
Oh, hey, Sister Nasara.
Hey, can I say something real quick before she said I didn't know that there was another California state that popped up that went off like that. Maybe Nasara, we can find them. It might be something that wants to still get in. So that might be helpful too.
No, I contacted them on Instagram and they told me that I should not do this. It's a scam or something.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's a scam. Okay. Well, guess what? Let me tell you about this scam real quick. If it's a scam, then we scamming ourselves with everything that we're telling you to do, we've done. Go ahead, sister. Go ahead and answer your question about the inspiration of the name.
Yeah, so it's based off of Queen Khalifa or Califia, however you want to say it. The root is Moorish Latin, which I learned from Prince Uriel Bey.
Yes.
His sister used to teach Latin, and I was a student in one of her classes. And so Vita California means the life of California or California's life.
Yeah. Vita means life. Yeah, exactly. Okay, excellent. So it's based in Moorish Latin. Awesome. Which in today's age they call it Spanish. But it's Moorish Latin, and it was deeper than that. But I'm glad to hear that. And it's unfortunate that it's very funny that they tell you that they told you that, but the brother that was the wazir, that was supposed to be the wazir, that's his. Okay, let me tell y'all real quick. So the brother who was the wazir, his name was Barack El. That's very interesting because I thought it was like I would jokingly call him Barack Obama, the first wazir of a Moroccan state, but his name was Barack El. What happened was that he had to step down. He had a family emergency and some family issues that he needed to tend to, and he stepped down from being the wazir within days of the inauguration. But they had 6 other people, or 5 or so. So after he stepped down, everybody else just went away. That's the last that I recall. I never heard anything about us being scam artists or this being a scam. Never, there was another sister that I was talking to about the state and helping her with the state. Perhaps it came from her, I'm not sure, but after it all, because see, that was she made an attempt, an initial attempt in which she wasn't getting enough people. She was the one who actually established everything. I forget her name, Nicola El. But no one was should I say, responding to her to help her establish the state. So she was about to get ready to quit and move to Texas. And I was like, well, you shouldn't quit. Yeah, well, I ain't got time for this, blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna move to Texas. I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna do that, then I can put you in contact with Dempsey. Well, then within 2 weeks or so, 5 people came knocking at her door. And that's when they established the area state republic, their flag, their seal. They got it from Hakeem Bey. Actually, Hakeem Bey fixed it. They contracted someone else, and Hakeem Bey kind of like doctored it up, made it a little better. And that's the story right there. And then next thing I know, the brother Barack El had an issue with the family. He had to step down from being the wazir. He put all kind of things together. A document that he sent me that was an excellent document. Excuse me. And next thing I know, he quit or had to quit for whatever reason. I asked the sister Nicola to stick around. No, I ain't got time for this. And no, just stick around, have patience. Someone else will come back around. Remember what happened the first time? Somebody came, so just think about that for the future. Just because Barack left doesn't mean that you all need to dissolve the state. Just push forward. Even Nova tried to speak to her about it. No, I'm just gonna quit. So she quit. That's what happened. And then now I'm hearing that it's a scam. That's very interesting. So that's actually what happened. But it is what it is. What I'm glad to see is that other Moors in the area picked up the torch and is pushing forward with California. You got 5 people. That's excellent. I didn't know that you was gonna get it done pretty quickly like this. This is actually faster than I expected. I thought it was gonna take you a year, Sister Nasara, 6 months or something. I thought it was gonna take you forever to galvanize a few other people. But man, this thing I don't think it's been longer than a month and a half, and you already got 5 people. You guys talking about you guys had an elections and everything, so that means that you're getting ready to do your public inauguration, but you haven't even reached out to the WRC yet. You guys got to reach out to Nova. Sister Nasara, in an ex parte conversation, I'll give you a call, and I'll give you Sister Nova's phone number so you can contact her. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Sounds good. I like the idea behind the name.
Sister,
I
give
like the
her my
idea
number
behind the
too.
name. What was that, sir?
I was speaking to Sister Nazir to give her my number too, so I can let her know, hey, I'm here to stay. I'm not going nowhere. We can put this together. We can all do it together.
Islam. I appreciate that warrior spirit. Are you the wazir or the incumbent wazir or
Haji.
Haji? Okay, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Islam. I'm proud. I forgot to mention this earlier. I'm so proud to report, and that's what brought tears to my eyes, by the way. I can't believe this slipped my mind. I'm proud to report that Ampani's wazir is also a matriarch. So when she came up to do her oath of office on the public inauguration video, it gave me chills to see a matriarch as the head of state. So we've got two. Mia Moore Bay of AMPAM, Elodium Moroccan Parade in Monte, Michigan. And now I'm not sure if the sister's on the call or if Roz Bay is on the call or anyone from New York. Please help me with the sister's name. I think it's something Amani L. Kalani Amani L, I believe is her.
Delani.
Delani, yes. I was proud to see that. It brought tears to my eyes. Like, man, we're definitely doing as the prophet says. So whenever these Moorish Americans say we don't honor the prophet, yeah, we were honoring the prophet more than you could ever imagine. We're putting the mothers up front, as the legislators first and foremost, whereas no other patriarch can be a part of that council. The Lil Aziz, which is the legislators, the matriarchal council is all matriarchs. And in addition to that, a matriarch can take any other seat. She can be the wazir, qazi, anything. But the patriarch cannot be part of the matriarchal council. So it's somewhat, the Constitution is somewhat discriminatory towards men to a degree. Because we have set limits to ourselves. We can't be legislators. We signed off on that. But the matriarchs can be, or they are the legislators. And they can be anything else outside of that as well. AMPAM, Elodium Moroccan Parade in Monte, Michigan, their entire three branches are matriarchs. The legislative branch, the executive branch, and the chief judge. They're all three matriarchs. You know how proud I was to find that out? And now what's taking place with Ampani, that's awesome. Just wanted to point that out. Sister Nasara, what would be your position? Before we go, because I'm just rambling now. We're just rambling at this point.
The Kazi, the head
Okay.
Kazi.
You're the chief judge, so look at that. Moors, listen, Moors, we are I hope y'all understand what's going on here. I hope y'all understand, understand, overstand, and understand what in the world is taking place here and how the colonists feel about this. They know about this. To date, they have received 8 constitutions, Moroccan constitutions, and declarations of independence. 8 of them thus far, with more to come. One of which is New York. 8 territories have been reclaimed under Moroccan law. This has never happened before, ever. Ever. They're not comfortable in their skin right now. Listen, they've never been comfortable, but at this point, they are very uncomfortable. We're like a thorn in their, a thorn on their side. You know how you wear like a shirt that has like a little string thingy that keeps sticking you and you can't find it and you keep itching, but it keeps sticking you. That's what's going on right now. We keep sticking them. We're a thorn in their shoe. We are making some legendary moves right now. Give thanks to the good brother, Chief Judge J. Jermaine Bay of AMPAG and his erudition in international law and statehood. And bringing clarity to who we are as a people and what our obligations are as a people, most importantly, according to the treaties that was written by our governments. Look at this right here. I was trying to highlight it before we go. I was trying to highlight it. It won't let me highlight it. So on the right side, you see what I'm trying to highlight? It says Morocco. I'm trying to highlight it. It won't highlight the way I need it to because it's a 2-sided document, I suppose. So on the right side in English is Morocco. And over here in French, it is Morocco. You see it down here again. Morocco. To go along with over here. Morocco. So it's Morocco or Maroc in French, but it's not Al Maroc. Now we can say Al Maroc as a nickname. We can say, I don't have a problem with Al Maroc. But don't tell me that Al Maroc and Al Morocco and all that means America. No, it doesn't. America means America, Morocco means Morocco. You want to throw Al in there? Okay, Al Morocco, okay, fine. But guess what? It's not in the treaties. In the treaties, this is what it's called, Morocco. There is no Al in front of Morocco. You don't find that nowhere in none of the treaties and none of that. In French, it's simply Maroc. Why are we doing this to ourselves? I don't know. We just make up stuff for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but it's basically mostly based in literature and not international law. And when we go, when it comes down to decolonization, you're not going to do it with literature. You're not going to do it with a book. You're not going to do it with a dictionary. You're not going to do it with a Bible or a Quran. You're going to do it with the well-settled principles of international law, case law. Like the document was saying, we're going to be utilizing the International Court of Justice case between France and the United States, case concerning the rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco, that has become now case law for our cause of decolonization. Not gonna in the treaties. We won't be using a dictionary. We won't be using no form of literature to go to court. None of those documents are admissible in court. So it doesn't matter what the Webster's Dictionary says, 1828. It doesn't matter what Prophet Noble Ali's literature says in 1913. What matters is treaties. What does the treaty say? The treaty is supreme law of the land. Even Noble is not supreme law of the land. But Noble was an excellent divine guide to bring us back into the awareness of our national identity and our culture. But the supreme law of the land is the supreme law of the land, and that's what you must follow. Because when it comes down to a class action lawsuit against the United States, what do you think you're going to bring to court? You're not going to bring United States laws. You're not going to bring their constitution, and you certainly ain't bringing no dictionary in there. It's got to be treaties, case law from the ICJ itself, etc. That's what you bring. So as it relates to those documents, it says Morocco, and it says Moroccan Empire, and it says the Sharifian Empire, and it also says the Moorish Empire. But it don't say nothing about Turtle Island. It don't say nothing about the land of milk and honey. It don't say nothing about Alma anything, Al Maroc, Al Moroccan, none of that. None of the above. Doesn't say Old Egypt or Old Kemet. Morocco. And that's the bottom line, because we are the Moroccans. The land is named after the people are named after the land is Morocco, we are Moroccans. We're not Americans, and we're certainly not Moorish Americans. We're not going to convolute the two. Choose between the entire submission. Either you're going to be American or you're going to be Moroccan. But if you're going to choose to be American, you're going to have to get permission from a Moroccan government to denounce Morocco, because you are a Moorish subject. You are a subject of Morocco. You are a Moroccan. A subjugated Moroccan who must choose between entire submission. So I'm glad, brother. What was your name? I didn't get your name from California. The Haji from Vida, California.
In Banca Bay. I'm gonna give you my full name. My full name is Buck Edward L. Banca Bay.
Islam, brother Banca Bay. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. Banca Bay. So we gotta have a meeting, Sister Nasara, brother Banca Bay. You gotta discuss a meeting with the WRC with your entire body, Islam. So I'll be in touch with you, Sister Nasara, and we'll and I'll also get your number too, brother Banca Bay, and we'll help you with the next few steps to complete the inauguration. We would like for you to use a specific oath of office that we will supply you with. It will be the same oath of office that Apani and Serum has used for their inauguration.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for reclaiming California. California's gonna be a lot of work. Y'all gotta get a lot. We're thinking that the Moors should really split up California. California is too huge for a small Moroccan state to take care of. That's too, oh man, it's like 40 million people there. That's like a whole country.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's three, you got Northern California and Southern California. Maybe it can be broken up into two different. I'm not sure how that would work with uti posidetis juris, but there is a consideration because
willing. I'm willing. No problem with me.
Well, we
I
got
was gonna say we got this, Abdul. We got this.
Islam
Like
system. Islam system.
We can't do it. We got it. But I'm just saying, there's no problem with me either way because I just want everything to go back right.
That's right. I hear your spirit.
yeah, we got the tech. We got the technology. We got the technologists over here.
True, that would be of great help. That is true. Yeah, that would be of great help. I mean, I digress. If you guys feel that you can do it, then you can do it. Whether you believe you can do something or you don't believe that you can do it, you're right either way. So if you believe you can do it, then guess what? You can damn do it.
That's right.
Period. And as Moors, we can do anything, especially
That's
if we put our minds to it.
That's right.
Islamism. I self-law and master. I slam colonists and obstructionists. So with that, with yield, we're gonna close out. What time is it now? Because at this point, we're just rambling. It's 10:15. Unless someone else has something final to say, any comments, concerns before we close out, it's 10:15.
Closing question and or remarks. You made mention of it earlier on, which is something that I myself have looked at several times in overreading documents where it mentioned, primarily in the Act of Algeciras, the Moroccan Empire and the Sharifian Empire. Now, I take it the words are interchanged.
Yeah.
Do you see the need of utilizing both in our erudition reform as we move forward, as it was implemented within the Act of Algeciras? And part B to the question, do you think there is a specific reason why both were distinctly mentioned?
Both what? There's three.
Moroccan Empire and Sharifian Empire.
Okay, because and then it's also mentioned as Moorish Empire as well. You see, I don't know why they use the Sharifian Empire is based on a dynasty. That's the Sharifian dynasty. That was the final one of the last dynasties or Moroccan dynasties that operated and controlled the empire. So that's where so they call him like the Sharifian, his Sharifian Majesty. Let's see here real quick. Let's see here. I think it's in the preamble. Inspired by the interest attaching itself to the reign of order, peace, and prosperity in Morocco, and recognizing that the attainment thereof can only be effected by means of the introduction of reforms based upon the triple principles of the sovereignty and independence of His Majesty, the Sultan. I thought it's right here. Have resolved upon the invitation of His Sharifian Majesty. So they call him the Sharifian Majesty. You see what I'm saying? Which comes back to the Sharifian Empire. What do they call him here? How does it? So you see Sultan over here in French, right? But I don't see. Oh, there it is. Yep, Sharifian. Sharifian. So, but what was the question? So you see that I'm showing you where they use the term Sharifian. So what was the question again?
The question was why we see the distinct in both, but when it says Sharifian Empire, was it a pluralized statement, or was it a singular statement addressing a particular soul? And if it's pluralized, why is it that it's distinctly mentioned in the Act of Algeciras you see the Moroccan Empire, then you will see the Sharifian Empire. Is it that they were saying, is it that a particular reason for the distinction used in one document?
I'm not sure what the reason is, but I'll show you something. Let me show you something. Article 102. This is to your question. Right here. So every confiscation final penalty must be imposed by foreigners so it says, so look at this. So it says every confiscation final penalty must be imposed on foreigners by consular jurisdiction and on Moorish subjects by Sharifian jurisdiction.
Islam, brother. That's Sharifian law. Greetings, family. Greetings, family.
Where you been?
That's the Sharifian law. That's when we're dealing with our, Islamic
Sharifian law, that's correct.
That's what it is. It's just a jurisdiction. It's not the empire. It's just, what we would say the elite, what they say, bodies that would deal with, the executive, or what they say at the time was the what was the body known at the time? Magisterial body, would be the executive body, where the Sharifian consulars or deputies would actually execute, certain jurisdictions based upon, the orders that needed to be given out.
Islam. And so to the point here, Sharifian jurisdiction and consular jurisdiction is the same thing. No different than Moroccan Empire and Sharifian Empire. It's the same thing. That was just an example to utilize to further express to Brother Nasir. They're synonymous terms. Like Moorish means Moroccan. These are synonymous terms. What else? What else do you have that can be viewed as Sharifian jurisdiction or Sharifian authority, or Moroccan law, Moroccan authority? You could also say the Mohammedan nations. Right? The Mohammedan nation is saying the Sharifian jurisdiction. Saying Moxin is saying Sharifian authority. They're all interchangeable terms that represent the same people and their governmental structures and their government authorities. So Sharifian, Moroccan, or Moorish Empire, they're all synonymous to one another. Go ahead, sister. What are you going to say?
Well, when I'm looking at Article 102, it makes a distinction. It says on foreigners by consular jurisdiction and more subjects by Sharifian. It seems like that's international and one is domestic or internal.
Fair enough. That's a good point. Because remember, when you're dealing with foreigners, you got to deal with what type of court do you deal with? Consular court, right? So okay.
And the orders have to be given out, what they say, the mufti or the consular order, which is the sharif that now executes the order that's, organized or promulgated by the sutra. So these are the chains of commands under the Sharifian jurisdiction that execute the consular orders that are issued, from that judicial branch.
So on that note, Ross, Ross, would you then say, when the Sharifian Empire, the term Sharifian Empire is mentioned in the Act of Algeciras, is it more synonymous with the Hammadian law, or the law that govern the Moroccan Empire, but not necessarily synonymous to Moroccan Empire?
We got to understand that the empire is the whole jurisdiction of the whole world at the time, but now we're talking about, the smaller Moorish, what they say, kindred that are now organizing themselves, because that's what the Act of Algiers was, to now, place us back to organize ourselves back under our Muslim creed and tradition. When we're dealing with executions of the judicial branch, executions of the legislation branch, and execution of the executive branches.
We overstand the several branches now. That's what I'm saying. So of course, I'm not sure if you heard the initial part of the question, where why it mentioned in the Act of Algeciras, it mentioned Moroccan Empire on one hand, and then Sharifian Empire on the other hand. Now we could all agree that under different legislative body. We have the consular jurisdiction. I mean, we have the council, we have a Sharifian, we have the legislation. We could all agree on that aspect. But in the Act of Algeciras, it mentioned both of them without distinction. So I was questioning, when it was drafted, was there a reason for that being done then that way, or was it a hidden message or something?
Well,
What actually being said?
the answer
Then-
to that was that at the time it was the Sharifian, the Sharifian dynasty. We had many dynasties. That was the final dynasty at the time during that time of the Moroccan Empire. So therefore, excuse me. So therefore, a distinction is not really being made there, because if you're a Sharifian, you're a Moroccan. If you're Moroccan, you're a Sharifian according to the current dynasty that
Okay.
was at the time. So at the
Okay.
time, so the prior to the Sharifian, let's say that one of the other dynasties was like the Almoravid dynasty, but that was 7 was that I think the 1400s, 13, 12, 12, 13, 1400s is when you have the Almoravid dynasty. But the latest dynasty at the time of the fall of us as the Moors was the Sharifian dynasty.
Noted.
So under the Sharifian dynasty, you had under the Moroccan Empire of the time, you had the Sharifian dynasty. So therefore, Moroccan, Sharifian, Moorish Empire is all synonymous with one another. And real quick, to touch on what the intelligence on Sister Makara's statement, here's a distinction that she recognized in Article 102. So the way our government structure is set up, the titles and the offices, you'll notice 2 titles. So you have Chief Judge and you have Qazi. You have Wazir al-Reis, you have Prime Minister, right? You have Sayaraha, you got Speaker of the House, you got Mufti, you got Consul General. The reason for that is because one deals with foreign, with dealing with foreign policy, and the other one deals with your internal affairs. So the same thing goes for the office for the courts. So consular court only comes into existence and it's only activated when dealing with foreigners, whether it be Americans or whoever else. However, in any dispute dealing with your own internal affairs, your own nationals, it now becomes Supreme Court, and the judge is now the Qazi. So the chief judge is of consular court and the Qazi is of the Supreme Court, your internal affairs. So right there where it says foreigners by consular jurisdiction, that's what it's alluding to. That would be consular court, right? So in this case, consular jurisdiction would be equivalent to the chief judge of consular court. And when it says Moorish subjects by Sharifian jurisdiction could potentially mean your internal affairs of your court, such as your Supreme Court. However, here's the thing, Sister Makara, that was a great observation, but keep in mind that a Moorish subject is still also foreign to Morocco because he's still under American jurisdiction. You see what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with—
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying with that. But the fact that we're still more subjects is still, there's still a bridge there. There's still a cord there.
But they cannot utilize the Supreme Court of our Moroccan states. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If a Moorish subject is seeking remedy from the United States, they would have to petition consular court. You see?
Mhm.
It's two clear, distinct jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
There's a foreign consular, so then you have to look back at the Peace and Friendship 1836 when you look at Article 21, 22, 20 through 22, when you look at how consuls and us dealing with the United States. So that's those foreign consuls that, how we deal with, the Moorish subject or the American, subject, so to speak. However, when it comes to Sharifian, which would be under our Moroccan creed, meaning anybody's or those subjects still need to be viewed under our courts. We still have to have a view or order from our courts based on whatever, both councils come into the settlement of dispute. You still need 2 sides of the courts to now fully settle that dispute.
Yeah, you do.
And
You
that's
mentioned
international, accordance.
you mentioned what was it? Article. If any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties, and whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decision, it shall be immediately granted to him. You see, so, but that's, and as you see here, it says, if any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection, who's under their protection? More subjects.
Mhm.
So they
Correct.
have to do what? Petition consular court.
Yeah.
And this is the importance about the WRC creating that body for those non-decolonized territories. So now those, nationals that are in those states now can have, rights to councils within those non-recognized territories present day.
That's that they would have. So yeah, right. That's part of the trusteeship council. They would have the right to petition consular court. Right. The problem, however, is that, well, there is a problem with that. They can't really petition consular court because if you're in a non-self-governing territory, then you don't have consular court there. The empire is not in place yet. Right. And the RSC cannot it's so it says on Article 20, it says consular court. It doesn't say the RSC. So the RSC is not the venue for a dispute between a Moorish subject and a U.S. citizen. It would have to be consular court. But if there's no consular court in that jurisdiction because it's a non-self-governing territory, now we have a situation here that we got to figure out. So this is part of what we're going. This is part of the process of enacting and establishing the WRC, is to figure all these little kinks out. This is why it's limited. We have our presence in the non-self-governing territories is limited. We don't have full authority because we don't. Why? Because the United States of Morocco is not enacted yet. The United States of Morocco is the entity that would have the another form of consular court, the master consular court, not the RSC. I mean, not the WRC. The WRC is an international organization. The United States of Morocco would be a de jure government, not an organization. So the RSC, being a governmental or an intergovernmental organizational type of court venue, it doesn't have any compulsory jurisdiction over affairs between Americans and Moroccans. That would be consular court. The RSC has authority over disputes between the member states of the WRC. That's the limit.
But the WRC can now go in those states and help them Moors to become a state, though, right?
That is exactly correct.
Okay, that's what we need then.
That's exactly correct. We will help them decolonize those territories. We have the full authority to do so according to the WRC bylaws that we just read over.
Right.
But we overthinking. Well, not overthinking. It's a good question actually. Why do they have the term Sharifian Empire and Moroccan Empire? But then they also, again, they have Moorish Empire. Don't forget that part. So there's a third. But then also they call it too the Empire of Morocco. So you got the Sharifian Empire, the Moroccan Empire, the Moorish Empire, the Empire of Morocco. But in those four names that I just mentioned, you even hear Mohammedan nations, Muslim, and etc. Right? It was in the French version actually. It was in the French version where it said one side, that was okay, paragraph Article 2. So it says the police shall be under the sovereign authority of His Majesty the Sultan, It shall be recruited by the Moxen from Moorish Mohammedans, commanded by Moorish Cades, and distributed in the 8 ports open to commerce. On the French side, it says, you see the word Moxen, but then you also see the Moroccans, the Cades, the Moroccan Cades, but here it is right here, Muslims. This is what I was looking for. So in the French version, right, you see Muslims, Moroccans. You also see Muslims in the Treaty of Fez. On this side, it says Moorish Mohammedans. So Moorish Mohammedans are Muslims. You see, so it's, I don't, brother, it's crazy. You don't hear Al-Moroccan and any of that other stuff, but you do hear a plethora of ways to identify us, nonetheless, through these treaties. So you have Moorish Cades, Moorish Mohammedans, you have the Muslims, you have Moxens, you have Sharifian authorities, you have the Sharifian Empire, you have the Sharifian authority, you got the Moroccan Empire, you got the Moroccans, Moorish subjects, Moroccan subjects, proteges. Goodness gracious. It's a lot of ways in which they identify, but none of which we hear in American jurisdiction. We don't hear that. What we hear Africa, we hear Black, Negro, colored, we hear Indian, we hear Hebrew, Pan-African, Afro-American, but we don't hear these terms. These aren't terms that's normal to Black language. Moorish Cades, Moorish Mohammedans, Muslims, Moroccans, Sharifian authorities, Moroccan Empire. We don't hear any of these things. You don't hear that stuff. In fact, you don't even hear it within the Moorish movement, not that much. Yeah, I've heard the Muslims, I've heard about the Mohammedans, right? But I never heard of Moorish Cades. I've never heard of the word Moxen. I've never heard Sharifian Empire. I heard Moorish Empire, Moroccan Empire, Empire of Morocco, but I've never heard the Sharifian Empire. There's a lot of terms that's in these treaties that I've never heard in the Moorish movement. And the interesting thing is that all the signatory powers of Morocco, all their names start with Il. It doesn't end with Il, it starts with Il. The same way Malcolm X did his name, El Haj Malik El Shabazz. There's a lot of El Hajjes here. All the plenipotentiaries, ministers, a minister of foreign affairs, etc., from Morocco. Where is it? Close by. There it is. El Haj Mohammed Ben El. Right? El Haj Mohammed Ben Abdesalam El Makri. Right? El Haj Mohammed S. Safar and Sid Abdurham Benis. That's where you see your title right there, El. But it's not at the end, it's at the beginning. And this is a treaty. So that means that any more out here who wants to have their ill in the beginning of their name, they can do so. Instead of having it to the end of the name, as affixing it to the name, as a title. You can put it in the beginning, you can put it in the middle. We're not limited to do it the way the Moorish Science Temple does it, is what I'm trying to say. Islam. All right, that was an excellent discussion and conversation. I appreciate the question about the Sharifian Empire versus the Moroccan Empire. That was a great observation. But remember that we've had, you know what, let me not do that because I was about to go into the research on dynasties. Maybe we can do that on the next class.
Islam, brother, I actually posted something in the Telegram chat. So if anyone is part of that, just look in the Telegram chat. It, referencing the Sharifian dynasties.
Islam, brother. Appreciate that. Yes, exactly. There's been like hundreds. I don't know if there's hundreds, but 20 of them. There's been many of them over the millennia. millennials of time. We've had so many different dynasties. You know, we ran the world. We had several dynasties. The final dynasty was the Sharifian Empire. And by the way, Brother Raz, Kazi for Apani, I need you to put me in contact with your wazir. And she needs to be in contact with Sister Nova as well. Because at some point, eventually, we would like to have her as part of the WRC. But obviously, it comes with recognition, right? And I know that you guys are going to do the right things to get recognized. So that's not even a concern. That's why I'm like, let's go ahead and start talking to her now. Islam?
Oh, Islam, actually, we had a discussion with her today, and our wazir is, she's actually on call right now. If you need to, have a few words with her, she's actually here.
Islam. Excellent inauguration, brother, and keep up the good work. Excellent inauguration serum. Y'all keep up the good work, brother. Hano Bay. We appreciate your statehood promotions on social media. You're doing an excellent job with that as well, bro.
Indeed, thank you, Noble. I want to say this real quick. Real quick, just listen. I got to promote the AMPAG study sessions. It's a must. I don't know if everybody's on Facebook, like that's on this line or Instagram. We need to all like and share the Wazir Regional Council, AMPAG, Serum. We need everyone on this call should actually go in real quickly, and when we get off, I guess just join those or like and share and become friends with each of our states and promote, the AMPAG study sessions. If not anything else, if you just share those around the internet, we can really gather the attention of some more experts, if you will, more subject matter experts.
That's right.
So we definitely can do that for sure. The only person I see myself, Akil, and maybe a few others, but not many. I mean, of course, yourself, Wazir Abdul, but I don't see many others. Just sharing the posts. We need to all be sharing the posts so we can garner more attention. So, I mean, that's just
great,
it's just pressing the share button. That's all it's doing. You ain't really got if you don't have anything to post yourself, just share our posts. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah.
I yield with that. That's it. Peace.
Bro, that's an excellent segue. And real quick before we go, because I was gonna close out with that, but it also brings the point up. Apani, do you guys have a Facebook page yet?
Yes, Islam. I believe we have a Facebook and an Instagram page, actually.
Okay.
Definitely been posting and sharing with I think it's who is that? The brother from Dempty, I believe. Yeah, I love what he's doing on there. So the graphics and the stuff he's doing. So great job.
Kendon Bay. That's Kendon Bay for
Yeah.
the Wazir of Dempsey.
Great job, brother. Definitely been loving and liking been following what you're doing, brother.
Islam.
Thank you.
Oh, he's on. Islam Wazir.
Hey, I texted you earlier this morning about 9 o'clock this morning about this meeting.
Yeah, I know, early. Yeah, I know it. I'm like, daggone. I'm like, daggone. I'm like, bro, it's not even 7 yet. Like, it's not even 5 yet. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. He's like, man, will you have a class today? Golly, okay, I guess we will. With the good brother Hano Bay that we need to share those posts as much as possible. And that's it for now. So with that said, good brothers and sisters, I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed going over the WRC. We'll be looking out for something new next week. We're done with the WRC. We'll be moving on to other topics of discussion. I'm thinking AA 2222141, the prison number, Islam. So with that, I yield. Peace and love, and may the blessings of Allah be upon you all. Islam.
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 Oh, brother.
Islam, good brother.